If this situation today with Ma'Khia Bryant, if that's how you say her name, Ma'Khia Bryant, the 16-year-old who was in the process of trying to stab another black woman to death and got shot and killed by police officers who saved the life of the black girl who she was trying to kill, okay? She was trying to kill her. That is what you do. That is what you are trying to accomplish when you take a knife and you try to stab someone repeatedly. You are trying to commit murder, okay? This woman, young lady, if you'd like to call her, got stopped in the middle of a crime, in the middle of an attempt at murdering someone by a heroic police officer who shot and killed her before she could finish the act.
And if your 13-year-old is out stabbing people, if your 13-year-old is carjacking Uber drivers, if your 13-year-old is running around with a gun, as we saw Adam Toledo in, I believe that was Chicago, I want you to know that this has nothing to do with the police. It has nothing to do with teachers. It has nothing to do with politicians. And it has everything to do with you. You are a terrible parent. Think about this. 13-year-olds are what we're seeing right now, causing havoc across the country in, well, only Democrat-controlled cities. But in cities that should not have 13-year-olds running around in the streets. Think about it. Chicago is very, very dangerous. DC right now is very, very dangerous, and Baltimore City is very, very dangerous. And so you allowing your 13-year-old to run the streets with dangerous criminals, and then they get caught trying to stab someone. They get caught trying to carjack someone. They get caught with guns. That is your fault. We have a very large problem in this country with personal responsibility. And I talked about this a little bit when it came to COVID and the mask mandate, and whether or not you should be around other people. A lot of this is personal responsibility. If you know you have underlying conditions, then you should probably stay home, especially if you don't have the vaccine. Because if you saw with the mask mandate, there was no particular mask that we had to use. You could literally walk around with a napkin over your face and it would be fine. That does not save anybody from COVID. That's how Dr. Fauci said it would, but he was completely wrong. Correct? Correct. And so for me, it was for you to take personal responsibility for yourself. You knew if you had to stay away from people. You knew if you felt sick and should stay home. You knew if you've been around people with COVID and should stay away from others. It's personal responsibility. You don't need the government to tell you about common sense. It's common sense, right? If you're feeling sick and we're going through a coronavirus pandemic, perhaps you should stay home. We do that a lot of times anyway with the flu and other things that we have. It's common sense and it's personal responsibility. And so for me, when I see all of these teenagers involved in all of these violent crimes, where are the parents? Where the hell are the parents? Don't cry on television when your 13-year-old has been gunned down. Where the hell were you? Why is your 13-year-old running around with guns? Why does your 13-year-old think that that's okay? We need to really get back to personal responsibility. Parents, it is your job to raise your child. Not the school, not the government, not the police. That's your kid. You raise your child.
Nah, bro, go ahead. Go ahead and pick one. Go ahead, sis. Go ahead and pick one. Go ahead and pick one. I'm not saying no hashtags. Don't say her name. Say his name. No, you should have been saying his name. You should have said, son, bring your ass in the house before the streets light come on. Daughter, hey, don't be out there swinging no goddamn knife around because that could cause you to get killed. You should have been doing your part as a parent. Nope. Go ahead and pick one. Pick one. You want pink, you want blue, you want white, you want gray. See, here's the thing. You couldn't do what you were supposed to do as a parent when they was alive. So go ahead and do something good for them while they dead. Go ahead and say their name now. Hashtag I should have did better. Hashtag I should have been there. Hashtag I should have talked to you. Hashtag I should have said, you know what? Nobody owes you nothing. And this life can take your life. Hashtag you should have did your thing as a parent. Go ahead and pick one. You bad. You ain't got no time but the time that you want to spend with reality TV. The time you want to spend listening to derogatory music. You ain't got no time because you so busy running around in that crazy narcissistic relationship. You thought everybody was going to raise your kid. The system, the school system, the jail system. You thought everybody was going to chip in for you because guess what? Somebody owe you something as a parent. You ain't got the time to raise your kid. You ain't got the time to teach your kids what they supposed to do to have some self-worth, some self-responsibility, to be able to communicate. Go ahead and pick one of these goddamn caskets out. Go ahead. You want everybody to be there for you? You want everybody to say his name and say her name. Why? Why do we got to do your job? You should have been saying their name. You should have been keeping them out of harm's way. You should have been teaching them how to communicate with people. You should have been saying this world is ugly and we got to do some things to prepare you for this. Sit your ass down. Let me say your name. I don't want to see you crying. I don't want to see your faces on t-shirts. I don't want people screaming, oh, these lives matter and those lives matter. You should have made sure your child's life mattered by teaching them what they needed to do to be responsible adults. To be able to use their love languages, to be able to communicate, to have some self-worth. But see, here's the thing. You devalued your child's life. It wasn't important until it became important. You get what I'm saying? I'm talking to pick one of these goddamn caskets out. Go ahead and pick one out. This is your fault. This is your responsibility. I don't want to hear the daddy wasn't there. I don't want to hear the mama wasn't there. You guys laid down and had a situation that produced a child. It is both your responsibilities. I ain't pointing the finger. I'm pointing the gavel. Hit the gavel and say, guess what? Guilty. Guilty for not being there. Guilty for not teaching your child what they needed to be taught. Guilty for not explaining to your child, guess what? You need to respect authority. Guilty for allowing your child to watch and listen to everything in this world that is derogatory and negative. Guilty for not spending time with your child and loving your child and teaching your child the things they need to do to develop prosper. Guilty, guilty, guilty. You want a verdict? Guilty as a parent. Guilty as a role model. Guilty as a provider. Guilty as a responsible adult. Guilty. Pick one of these caskets out, goddammit. It's your fault. We could have prevented this. We didn't have to be looking at you on TV crying and snotting and saying, my poor baby. Your baby had a knife. Your baby had a gun. Your baby raped somebody. Your baby. The one that you didn't talk to. The one that you didn't love correctly. The one that you didn't teach any values or how to respect someone. You thought somebody owes your child something and they grew up thinking, well, I can just have a bad attitude. I don't have to appreciate the small things in life. I don't have to be a productive citizen. I can talk to authority figures any type of way because you let them come in your house any type of way. You let them smoke weed in your house, don't you? You let them drink in your house, right? How many times you let your teenager have sex in your house? Don't even think to tell them about, hey, make sure you use protection. Make sure you're on birth control. Hey, you ain't even got to go to school. You are guilty and negligent, parents, for not working together, thinking that, oh, well, I could just turn my child against the other parent because I'm guilty, because I'm vindictive, because I'm bitter. What are we doing right now? We want the world to mourn for our children, but we wasn't successful as parents raising them. We want the world to give our children a standing ovation when we couldn't sit down and compose a simple conversation. You want a symphony? You want somebody to sing to the heavens your child's name? Say my child's name is what I'm hearing. Don't forget my child. You forgot your child. You wasn't there for your child. You wasn't responsible for your child. You let everybody raise your child. The hood, the other community, your other baby mama, your other baby daddy, the grandparents. Everybody was responsible for raising your child except you. All them goddamn club nights. All them goddamn men in and out of your house. All them women in and out of your house. You gave your child every example of what not to do. And now we supposed to feel sorry. We supposed to you need to have empathy. You need to sit here and mourn with me. You need to tell me that I'm the greatest parent and this shouldn't have never happened. No, it should have happened. You want to know why? Because you allowed it to happen. You created an environment that allowed and fostered negativity. Not only drugs and sex and crime and abuse, you created an environment that was toxic, and that's why your child died. Somebody got to say it to you. Somebody has to be the honest broker, and someone has to give you tough love. This is your fault. Guilty. I don't want to hear who wasn't there. You was there. I don't want to hear what somebody else said. What did you say? I don't care what somebody else did. What did you do? You want to blame the police? You want to blame this race? You want to blame that gender? But you ain't blaming your goddamn self. Guilty.
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.